Hello there, I am Gifty Auntie and welcome to TSP with Gifty Auntie. Hello there and welcome to TSP with me, Gifty Auntie. We're still celebrating motherhood this month of mothers. On TSP, the whole of May, yes, we're all about women, but May is about mothering. No, I'm not just talking about biological mother, but mothering in many forms and shapes. My guest today is one of those you can describe as a woman who has defied all odds. A woman who is a living testimony. A woman who is a living or walking or sitting or living or surviving what many may have thought was impossible. But before I introduce her, let me say thank you to Amazing Grace Enterprise for my fabric. They are the ones who give me all the beautiful fabrics. And this outfit is by Eminent Fashions. Thank you so much to them. Hair by Esnash, my beads, Twinny Crafts, you know them, those beautiful twins. Makeup by the Global. Makeup product, Stigma, Health and Beauty. And of course, my accessories. You know I like my blinks and earrings and everything from the Boy Fashion. My guest today, she's a woman of many parts. She's doing so many things. I don't even know which one to describe. She has a restaurant. She has a recording studio. She has a management. Very soon, I'm sure. In fact, she's got something to do with education as well. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together, even as we welcome Madam Dorothy Amwa.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. To welcome you, look ravishing.
Thank you, as you do.
You look beautiful.
Thank you.
So who styled you? Or you styled yourself?
Myself.
Kindly take a seat, right? So I'll be back shortly with a candid conversation. You know what we do on this set? We capture the untold stories of women wherever we can find them. And this story, trust me, you don't want to miss it. I'll be back. Welcome back to TSP with me, Gifty Auntie, and yes, indeed, we are about to capture an untold story, a beautiful story, a story that is still unfolding, but it's full of smiles, it's full of challenges, it's full of some mysteries, but it's still unfolding, and we know it's going to be beautiful. Now, before we get down to talking, let me say thank you to Vena Mineral Water. Vena has a balanced pH level. It's low in sodium. It has all the minerals that you need in good quality drinking water. And they believe in giving back to society. That's why I love them. That's changing lives and sharing love wherever they find themselves. And Kidsville, where your child's dreams always come to. One-stop kids haven. Everything kids is there, from shoes to clothes to school bags to lunch bags to party supplies, whatever you need. Toys, books, everything under one roof. And they are on the Spintex Road adjacent to Noble House. You walk in there and it's a haven for kids. And you get to relive your childhood days as well. And I have a message for you. You know, this program is all about women. AFSA has an interesting news for you. AFSA says they understand the unique journey of women in business, from juggling multiple responsibilities to navigating financial complexities and societal expectations. You know what I'm talking about, ladies. They also understand your resilience and your vision and determination, and that inspires AFSA. That's why they've created the She Business account tailored to empower visionary women leaders like you and I. Yes, I'm placing myself in there, with collateral-free loans up to 2 million Ghana cedis. Yes, you heard me right. 2 million Ghana cedis. Insurance. It has insurance coverage, discounted loan interest rates, and capacity building programs. They take you through the training as well. As they say, the She Business account is the banking solution for you, women. Visit the nearest ABSA branch or call 0302-429-150 for more information. ABSA says your story matters too. So take the advantage now. Now to my set. And my guest today is Miss Dorothy Amwa of Dorothy's Hope. But as I said during my intro, she does a lot of things as well. I was asking her, you didn't bring me food. I'm ready to buy.
It's coming, Orba.
Have you tried her fried yam and pork? What's lounge? What's the name of the restaurant?
Base Lounge.
Base Lounge.
Yes.
Where is it?
Cantonments.
Cantonments.
Yes,
Ooh.
yes.
That's it. And they have some. Is it spicy jollof or assorted?
Yeah, we do the assorted jollof.
Jollof.
And then we do a whole array of continental.
She didn't bring me food, but I'll make sure I get the food before she leaves. Good to have you here.
Thank you for having
been a
me.
while.
Thank you for having me, Gifty. Thank you.
How has it been since you came back to Ghana to settle?
It's been quite a journey. I relocated back to Ghana in 2010. I did the back and forth thing for a couple of years and then eventually decided to just settle.
I hear it's the best thing to do when you've been out of the country for a long time. If you want to settle, you need to come do the surveillance and come few months and then you go back.
Yeah, you do. But honestly, there's no set time or correct time to come. You just have to just take the plunge and just make it happen. So for me, I made a decision. I came on a trip on holiday, and then I made a decision to just stay.
What made you decide to come back to stay when you came on that trip?
I think I felt the need to. I left Ghana when I was very young, at the age of 10 or 11.
Right.
Initially relocated to England and studied in England, and after uni moved to America. And but I'd been, from the age of about 19, 20, I started coming back and forth occasionally. But I think my parents relocating back to Ghana, and they were getting on in life, a little elderly. So I decided to move back to Ghana and spend time with them, quality time with them. And I'm glad I got to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you daddy's or mommy's girl?
Oh, goodness, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
You are the last of how many kids?
I'm the last of 5.
The last of 5. Yeah.
You know several of our siblings.
Yes. And you decide to come back to settle.
Yes.
I'm sure a lot of your friends out there and family thought you were doing the crazy because those were in the most nicest of times in Ghana then.
Yes, because I was quite established in New York, doing my thing as an optician. Professionally, I'm an optician. So I had my optical shops and boutiques in New York, and I was doing all of that and quite successful. But I felt like there was also a need to bring that business here as well.
Right.
So that's when in 2000.
So you still have the optician?
I do.
The eye clinic?
Yes, but I'm relocating. I'm about to relocate to Labone now.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but I did that for several years.
Okay.
And so basically, as a professional optician, set up a shop in Move and Pick. I had one at Marcel Desailly Sports Complex as well initially. Then 6 months later, I opened up in Move and Pick, and I ran that for several years. It was just an extension of what I did abroad. Yeah. I'm
a journalist, so I like to, fish out information. And you've always been this fashionista, the girl who loves her fashion, who loves life.
True.
So everybody expected you to go into the fashion.
I did for a while. I actually modeled when I was younger. I was in the fashion industry. I modeled professionally for a while. But eyewear, you'll know, is an extension of the fashion industry.
Anyway.
Big time. So I combined both fashion with the medical aspect of it. Right. And so I think my optical shops were a little bit more high-end and a bit more exclusive. If you're looking for something a bit more unusual, you'll find it, find it there.
How did you grow up being such a smart, kid?
Oh. Parents' influences, I think. Having the right values being instilled in us, to be hardworking and to be a go-getter. Both my parents were in business,
right?
And
I think it's okay for us to put it out there that your parents, start to establish the Association International School. That's where you went to when you were a kid
I
as
did.
well, and
we all did.
early on this month, our guest, Chief Moment, is an old boy, a proud old boy. You know, he was
Okay.
on it as well. My daughter is there, and
Yes.
we are all blessed to have. But has it always been run on the principles of Christianity?
More so now, because the headmistress, my sister,
Yeah.
is a very, big believer. She's a real Christian, and she believes in, instilling those values into the children. Yes, yes.
Yeah, and we do, as parents, we really do appreciate that. Now let's come to you.
Right.
Now you have an interesting story. I read a bit of your profile. I like to find things out myself on the set, along with my viewers. But you were diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 29.
Yes.
You were very young.
At a very young age, yes. So, so basically was working in New York, running my businesses. And I think I was 29. It was about just a couple of months into my marriage then, a couple of months into my marriage, and found a lump in my left breast. At the age of 29, you've heard about cancer, you've heard about breast cancer, but it doesn't, it's not something that you talk about or you know too much about.
Right.
As we know, at the age of 40 is when you're supposed to start your yearly mammograms.
Yes.
So yes, I knew about it, but it wasn't something that I, was on my mind. So basically found a lump in my left breast. And I remember speaking to my family about it, and they're like, oh, it's probably just a cyst, nothing for you to worry about. So I went in to the hospital, saw a doctor, and she did a needle biopsy, very simple procedure where they put a little needle into the breast and they take a small tissue sample out, did a needle biopsy, and 2 days later I went in for my results. And I remember walking in and, I was quite,
your bubbly self.
I was bubbly, my usual bubbly self. And she walks up to me and she strokes me and says, how old are you? And, she was stroking my arm and said, how old are you? And the minute she did that, I felt something, and I looked at her and she goes, I'm sorry to tell you, but your cells are malignant. You have cancer. And it was a shock, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
But I immediately, being the kind of person I am, personality I am, very strong-minded, I immediately started questioning and asking her questions about the disease. How long do I have? What kind of stage all those questions. And I remember my husband's knees buckled. I had to be the strong person from that moment to hold him up, and just saying that, okay, let's find out more about it and see how we can fight this. And then I asked her, I said to her, I want to have a child. Because in my mind, I was going to die. I have cancer, I'm probably going to die. And I want to be able to leave my child to my family.
Right.
So that's what my thought process was. And she said to me, don't even think about it. The cancer is growing very rapidly because you're young and it's very aggressive. So if you were to not go ahead and get pregnant, your hormones would go haywire and it'll kill you. In 6 months, you probably, and so that was.
Before the honest truth, to tell you the truth, when I started reading your profile and I saw diagnosed with cancer, immediately I started screening to, has he got kids? Then I saw, So, I mean, naturally, And I had also heard stories about that. I know people who had cancer. Her mother was on the show.
Okay.
And she got pregnant. She had breast cancer. She got pregnant and she died.
Wow.
So,
Because the cancer grows rapidly because sometimes it's, the estrogen in your system is a contributing factor. Yeah. So for me, it wasn't an option to have a child. I went immediately. I saw a whole host of doctors and oncologists, surgeons. And initially, I was going to have a lumpectomy to remove the lump. But then I met another doctor whom I love, I love dearly, Dr. Michael Moore from Columbia Presbyterian Hospital in New York.
Okay.
Saw me and said, you're young, you're beautiful. I would recommend that you have a mastectomy done. That way there's less chance of it recurring. And it was a tough pill to swallow. I was in the height of my career. I was taking care of my body. And to be told that you have to have surgery for removal of your breast, So anyway, but I made the decision to do that. And met with a team of plastic surgeons, so I think it was February, so 2 months after the diagnosis, I was admitted into the hospital and had the mastectomy done, had reconstruction done at the same time using tissues and muscles from my own stomach. I didn't want to put in a balloon or anything, any foreign body material. So basically, I opted for the tram flap procedure, where they did the reconstruction. The surgery took 17 hours. Yeah, my mom was there.
I was going to ask who was waiting for you.
My mother.
I can imagine what she went through.
Yeah, it was tough. A lot of self-blame, both my parents. This is something we did. But there's nothing they did.
Because even today there are a lot of misconceptions about breast cancer. You can imagine when you were diagnosed and
potluck. So basically, it could have been anything, condition. It could be stressed. It could be the environment, something I was eating, breathing, anything. So or hereditary sometimes. But then I'm the first in the family with breast cancer that I know of.
That you know of. That's the thing. Yeah.
No family history. So anyway, so I had the surgery, and then after the surgery, I was in hospital for a few days only, went home, and then started my chemotherapy, which I went through intensive chemotherapy for 6 months.
How was I?
Yeah, for a lot of people, it's really tough. Once again, I wouldn't say I breezed through it. There were days, I think, right after the initial chemo, first day, that I would feel horrible, weak, nausea, a lot of that. But second day, third day onwards, I was fine and I worked. And I think your mental health is so important, staying positive, because I keep on advising people that having a positive attitude is half the battle. Is half the battle won. So
I guess the way you were raised, it also played a role, because you had this, self-confidence and boldness and a lot of positivity, in your life.
Yeah.
So it made it a bit, but
it's
I don't think
but it's not a joke. Cancer is not a joke. Breast cancer or cancer is not a joke. It takes a toll on you. It takes an immense toll on your family and loved ones. We sometimes forget about them. But they also go through a lot. But ultimately, the support system is so important. Having that good support around you. And once again, in Ghana, I've noticed that's also a problem.
That's a problem.
Yes, family members don't. Sometimes they even abandon their children. Thinking it's a bad omen or something they've done wrong or juju or whatever.
Exactly.
So that's
then you have their spouses leaving them and not wanting to have anything to do. It's tough. It's something that is still, considered like a stigma.
Yes, and it's taboo to talk about. So hopefully the likes of me talking about it.
Yes.
I remember initially my mother was like, "Oh, Nana, don't talk about it, just be private." And I'm like, no, if I can tell my story and if it can impact one person positively and save a life, I'm good.
Yeah. And that's one thing I've also noticed, that breast cancer is not, I know any form of cancer is no respect of persons.
Yeah.
It can affect anybody. It used to be the disease or the sickness of the affluent, but then we've seen people, everyday people, traders who have also getting there, but it all depends on the care you get.
Exactly.
And you survive. So you've survived for how many years?
If I say I give my age away.
So many years.
So many years. I've been in remission for so many years. So, I mean.
But you used to get a scare sometimes?
Yes, it's always there. When the yearly mammogram it's time for your tests. Initially, I was doing my checkups and tests every 6 months, and now it's become every year. But yeah, of course. I mean, it's tough for me to go and have a test sometimes because you're not feeling very well. There's a pain somewhere, and the first thing that comes to mind is, oh gosh, could it be?
Right.
But then you can't also live your life, But yeah, it is always there.
How did it change your life?
It impacted me in a positive way, I think, because you ask yourself, a lot of people say, why me? I ask myself, why not me? And why not me? And then why was my life saved? Because I've lost so many people. I know so many people who don't survive. But you survived. I survived. So there must be a reason for that. And I believe that's why I do what I do.
Right.
I'm here to...
We'll talk about what you do, but did it make you live life on the edge, like kind of counting your days? I mean, knowing that there's no there's no time, quote unquote, because before then, I'm sure you've seen your parent grow old doing things, so you take things naturally.
To
But
take things for granted.
this is somebody you've been told that you don't have much time.
Yeah.
It's growing rapidly.
Right. Right.
And so you shouldn't even think about
you
getting
learn
pregnant.
to value time. You live in the moment a little bit more so, enjoy the days rather than thinking ahead too much. Not that you shouldn't plan ahead, but you learn to enjoy the moment and appreciate those around you.
Okay.
I think of somebody now and I pick up the phone and I call them. You don't lose that moment because you never know.
Right.
Yeah, so things like that. And just cherishing and loving your family and your children,
Okay. But you have 2 kids.
I do. Are
they biological?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I had them after the cancer. Yes, because they told me, the doctors wanted me to freeze my eggs because the type of chemo I was having was very strong.
Okay.
And sometimes, it reduces your chances of having children.
Right.
So they actually offered for me to freeze my eggs. I refused to. I just wanted to take my chances and... So,
okay, now I'm sitting up.
Yeah, so I just went ahead. And what I did was after the chemo, I started cleansing my body. I went holistic for a while, eating the right fruits, vegetables, vitamins, everything. I bombarded my body because your immune system is completely broken down with the chemo. Right. So you have to rebuild. So I did that, so a couple of years into it before I had my kids, when the chemo was out of my system. Yeah. So
did you have to do research yourself, or you had consultant, you had people advising you?
It's on you. It really is. When this happens, it's on you. Nobody's going to come to you, and advise you and educate you. So if all the resources are there, it's up to you. In any disease, when you're afflicted by any disease, it's up to you to do the research, go on the internet, talk to individuals, talk to doctors, and see what the best treatment options are available to you. It's so important. So I personally did a lot of research. Yeah.
So I'm just thinking, now I'm getting to understand why you do what you do, because even if out there in the US, where you were diagnosed, went through the surgeries and everything, you didn't have that much of support when it comes to the medical, field and nutrition and everything. You can imagine what goes like going on here in Ghana.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot missing here.
Let me take a break. When we come back, we'll look at Dorothy's hope and what you found out, why you decided to, okay, the why is okay, but okay, you let me take a break. Come back. You're watching TSP with me, Gifty Auntie. I'm having a conversation with the Dorothy. I'm amazing already. I'm blown away. But hey, people do have stories, They do have stories, and I'm sure it's giving somebody hope already. Let me say thank you to eGarden for our natural plants. We're so grateful to them. Yep, cleaning services always make sure our environment is clean. We are grateful to Auntie Vera and the team House of Food. Thank you so much for making sure that these guys get sorted out anytime we have a recording. We are grateful. Mrs. Oforipoko and the family, we are grateful. Vena Mineral Water, Bigger drinks, and then juice time, 100% fruit juices from the farm to the factory to the bottle to the shelf. They do it everything themselves. So we know that when they say that it's 100%, we trust that it is 100%. We take a break. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to TSP with me, Gifty Auntie, and what a journey. But let me say thank you to Amazing Grace Enterprise for my fabric. My outfit is by Eminent Fashions. Thank you so much. Makeup, the global makeup product, Stigma Health and Beauty. My hair is by S. Nash. And of course, my beads by 20 Crafts and Jewelry by the boy Fashion. Thank you so much to all of them. And we are sponsored by Vena Mineral Water. 100% quality water. It has all the minerals that you need in good drinking water. It has a balanced pH level, low in sodium, and they believe in giving back to society. We are grateful to Bigger Drinks. And then, of course, Kidsville, where every child's dream comes. Anytime I talk about Kidsville, I smile because Somebody says maybe I didn't have much fun during my childhood. But hey, it's good to relive your childhood every now and then, and work in there and you'll have a wonderful time. We also have a message for you from APSA. APSA understands the unique journey of women in business, from juggling multiple responsibilities to navigating financial complexities and societal expectations. Your resilience and vision inspire us, so says APSA. That's why they've created the She Business account tailored to empower visionary women leaders like you with collateral free loans up to 2 million Ghana cedis. Insurance is guaranteed. There's insurance coverage, discounted loan interest rates, and capacity building programs. The She Business account is the banking solution for you as a woman. Visit the nearest APSA branch or call 0302 429 150 for more information. APSA says your story matters to them. And feel free. In fact, in July, TSP with Gifty, that's the standpoint with Gifty, is going to be 17 years. When it comes to consistency, when it comes to protecting women, when it comes to promoting what we know is right, creating the right role models, you can trust us. So please join the family by sponsoring or advertising with us. So Nana, you are last baby just like me. You are Nana, I'm also Nana, you know. So you came to Ghana.
Yeah.
What were you expecting? Not in terms of business, not in terms of, but knowing your history, knowing that you're a survivor, and knowing a medical history. What were you expecting?
Well, I certainly didn't know too much about the healthcare here, you know, and what is available to, you know, to us individuals.
Right.
I had the opportunity to travel back and forth to continue my, you know, my treatments, my meds, my whatever. So not everybody is in a position to do that.
Right.
So soon after I arrived is when I realized that we were lacking in so many ways. And I didn't initially come here to set up the foundation. It was, I think, 2013 when I lost Daddy, and that's when I felt like I had to give back to society right after that. So I decided to set up Dorothy's Hope Foundation. And also from 2010 to 13, I'd been encountering a lot of women and, you know, with cancer and breast cancer.
Okay.
And most of the cases I was encountering, I realized that they were catching it at a very late stage, detecting it at a very late stage. So that encouraged me to set up the foundation so that I could, you know, do some work and help them. Yeah.
But I'm sure you just didn't set up. You did a bit of background checks about breast cancer diagnosis and treatment here in Ghana.
Yes. I mean, there's very few organizations supporting the cause. Hospitals, I did research, went to see hospitals. There are very few hospitals that actually are well equipped to help breast cancer patients. Some of them have mammography machines that are not working. If they exist at all. They don't have a radiotherapy department. And, you know, drugs are not being subsidized. Drugs are very expensive.
It's very expensive, actually, treating cancer.
It's not a joke. It's very expensive. And, you know, and you can't stop halfway through the process.
Right.
So we need to find ways to support women who, you know, can't afford. Where affordability is an issue, we have to find a way to be able to support women who are going through the disease. The infrastructure is number one. Okay, we have excellent doctors in Ghana, but the infrastructure doesn't allow us to be able to treat cancer patients properly. You'll find that there are a couple of hospitals, you know, in Accra especially. You've got a few here, Kolebu Teaching Hospital, you've got, you know, Ridge 37, you've got what, and then you've got a couple of private hospitals. Exactly.
And now I think the UGM.
UGM, yes, they've started as well. So you've got those, but people who live in the suburbs and in other regions don't have access to places where they can be screened and tested and all of that. So over the years, Dorothy's Hope has gone out to different regions. We've done free breast cancer screenings. I do that on a yearly basis. We do it all over the country.
Okay.
The only area we haven't visited is the north, and that's on my agenda this year.
Okay.
So we'll spend some time there. We'll do some tests. We'll do some education. We'll educate people about the disease, some outreach. We'll go and check out and see what is happening with the hospitals, the government hospitals there, to assess it and see what needs to be done. You see, so it's it's work that is continuing, and there's a lot of work to do.
Right.
Yeah.
I have, done a lot of reporting and interview a lot of survivors and people also in the space of helping, survivors and the medical field. But one thing that, and I got that sense even from how you were told, how they break the news to people who are diagnosed with breast cancer, how they break the news to them,
Gifty,
and the lack of counseling.
Thank you. Yes, it's a problem. And I always say the bedside manners, the doctors, the bedside manners, the healthcare professionals, how you break the news to somebody who is sick.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I think we are lacking in compassion, and, it's very matter of fact. Oh, you have breast cancer. Okay, so you have to chop off your breast. What do you mean chop off your breast? Even the word chop off your breast. Of course, if I were that person, I would think twice. I'd go home and look for other alternatives. Sometimes it happens to be going to a herbalist or to some prayer camp. Yeah, so that's what a lot of people opt to do. So I think the way in which it's relayed and, you give people their options, you let them know. For example, I dedicate a lot of my time, as I believe that some survivors should do. I dedicate a lot of my time to College Teaching Hospital, where I go in occasionally on Wednesdays and I mentor patients. I sit down with Jemima, my darling Jemima, who's the head nurse there in the surgical department. And patients come in who've just been recently diagnosed. They come in and we mentor them. We let them know what to expect, how to handle it. We talk to them about nutrition. We talk to them about, just everything. Just how to basically handle the stress of it all, what to expect when they're going through surgery, when they go through chemotherapy, everything. So we discuss all that with them, and I think it helps.
And this is something you do on your own.
I do.
Your resources, nobody. And I'm just wondering, why are you doing this? What do you hope to get out of this?
Good question. Why am I doing this? It's my calling. And I'm generally a carer. I cared for my mom and my dad when they were sick at home, even though we had nurses around the clock. I'm very hands-on. I'm the kind of person who, my phone is always on. Patients have my private number. They call me. I remember my mom would say, Nana, wouldn't you sleep? Where are you going? They call me. I get a call at 1 a.m. in the morning. One of my patients is going through, hell, it's suffering. Auntie Dorothy, I'm in pain. And I immediately get up. I personally drive to the hospital, and I will get them admitted. Whether it's emergency, I'll get them admitted. Because if I don't do it, if we don't do it, who's going to help them? Half of them, they go there, they don't have the support system. And when they get there, our emergency care, there's no sense of urgency. They are sitting there suffering. And unless you have somebody like me, talking to the doctors to push their agenda and let them know this woman needs help, she needs to be admitted, half the time there are no beds. So somebody has to be able to do that. And I don't mind. I don't mind at all. So
do I get the sense that you prioritize this over your own business?
Yes, I do. But then, you know what? The business is also important.
Right.
Finding funding for this has been so difficult. We're not generally very charitable, in this country, in this nation, and it's been very difficult to raise money to support the cause. So I've used a lot of my personal, income, the money I've generated from my businesses to assist. But I think after 10, 11 years now, the track record is there.
Yeah.
So I'm now trying to push for more corporate sponsorship. There are seriously, there's a handful, And I remember everyone who's donated something to us because
Right.
it's just a handful in
Right.
11 years.
Yeah.
And occasionally you might get a water company when you're doing a breast cancer screening. You know, they may give you something in kind. They may give you some tissues or whatever. But getting money to support these women is very difficult.
Yeah, people are willing to give products, but money.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's tough, but
It's
you
tough.
need the money.
It is tough.
You know, because
Yes.
you need the money to pay the bills, to
Precisely.
you know, hire counselors and all that for them. Yeah, to travel around. Because I see some of the videos. You know, I visited your page and the way you decorate the place for them. How many hospitals have you renovated?
I'm on my third now. We're going to, this year, it's about the Volta region.
Okay.
I've, over the years, visiting different areas, I've realized that a lot of the women coming to us for care are actually Voltarians. Now, this is something I've been trying to figure out and, you know, and research. And I'd say about 80%, which is quite high, of the women who come to me with breast cancer are Voltarians. So I started thinking, what is it? You know, is this something in the environment there, in their water body, something they're eating? You know, there's got to be something, and that's where research comes in. We don't do much research and data collection. So I think it's something that, you know, I want to also make sure that we embark on. When you do screenings.
So you have a team?
I do. Not so big, but I do have a team. A lot of volunteers come on board when we're doing our outreach programs, etc. Right. But there's a small team that we work diligently. Right. Yes. So for the Voltarians, so I'm actually starting this year. We're going to do a renovation. I visited the Who General Hospital.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been to the area a few times, but we went there recently with my team. And we met the head of oncology. They received us really well. We sat down with nurses, the oncology nurses, and we talked. We had a really candid conversation about, you know, what needed to be done to improve healthcare in that area and also for cancer patients. Right. And there's no cancer ward or anything like that. So this year I've decided that we're going to renovate one of the wards and turn it into the cancer ward. We've been given a space there to do that, and then equip it as well. They do chemo. Okay. There's a chemo room, but it needs to be improved. There's no radiation there, so you know they need equipment as well. So so that's the next project that we're embarking on. Starting, I think we'll start in June. Yes, and starting. We did Kolebu last year. That was very personal to me.
Yeah. Why was it personal to you?
Well, it was at a time where I'd lost my mum. And I wanted to do something in honor of her. So
did she die at Kolebu?
No, but she went to Kolebu quite a bit.
Okay.
But eventually at UGMC, yes. Okay. So I wanted to do something in her honor. So we went onto the surgical floor, the second floor, which I visit there all the time because I see patients there. And the conditions was just horrific. Yeah. You know, no running water, no hot water, a lot of filth. And if you're recuperating, you want a good environment to recuperate in. You know, so I took it upon myself and with my team, and we did a full renovation of the second floor, and you know, mattresses, louvers were broken, you name it. We did a lot, but I did it in 3 weeks, record time. So we moved all the patients out onto another ward, and they gave it to us for about 3 weeks, and we did a full renovation, changed the equipment, fans, everything.
How do you feel anytime you hear any of your patient has passed, has died?
Defeated. You wonder when it's going to change, you know, when you're going to see more patients survive. It's really tough. You know, I take some of them are very, you know, I get very close to. I even house them, one or two. There's a lady, a 19-year-old lady, Anita. 19 Voltarian from Jijo. So I had Anita as a patient a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, we lost her. But yes, even as young as 14, there's a patient right now who's 14 years old.
Breast cancer?
Yes, breast cancer.
Also from the Volta region?
You see, so Anita was 19. A friend had seen her story somewhere on the internet and contacted me. Immediately, I asked her family to bring her down. So her mother and aunt brought her down to Accra, better facilities here. We had her admitted. Saw Dr. Nsaful and Dr. Dede, head of surgery, cancer at Kolebu. Saw that her breast was massive. It was diseased. it spread into the chest walls, and she's 19. Of course, we did everything to help her, but then the families don't help. As a mother, if I see my child with a lump or a diseased breast, I'm not going to wait. So the question is, if you can come to us for help at this stage, why didn't you come a year ago? Why didn't you come earlier? So because early detection is everything. I'm a living example of it.
But yeah.
It's everything. So so someone like Anita, and then you fight, 6 months later you lose them. It's tough.
Do you see psychologists yourself? Because you do take it personal. And sometimes I wonder if you're able to disassociate yourself from the cases.
Yeah. I've been told I need to do that more so. But it's me. It's me.
Once again, I asked you, I won't call you Dorothy Nana.
Yes.
What do you hope to achieve at the end of this whole? What you're doing? What would you want to see? Something, major, or is it a policy change? Is it?
Yes.
I don't know how to call it, but what is your greater desire when it comes to this fight you're fighting?
To make an impact. Improved healthcare all around, improved cancer care, to see more people survive, people to have infrastructure, places, clinics, more accessibility to clinics, places where you can be diagnosed and treated. Eventually, the big picture, we're doing the screening on a regular basis, we're doing the testing, we're supporting women through the disease, but having the government subsidize more cancer drugs, it's really important. And giving people access to places where they can be screened for free. It's not so hard to do.
Yeah.
So once again, a program, that I've come up with, a concept that I've come up with that I'm going to start implementing in the Volta region once again.
Yeah, right.
We're going to start there, and if it works, we go to other regions, all 16 regions, using containers. Okay, in the rural areas.
Oh, yeah.
Using 14-foot containers, decking them well enough, solar powered. Okay, we can do boreholes because there are some areas don't have water or they don't have electricity. So forget the electricity, bringing it in. We use solar with it. These containers will be solar powered. So we place them in different areas. Where the government comes in is that we want to be able to utilize the nurses, okay, and to train them well enough to be able to diagnose and even do simple needle biopsies if need be. Then having the system where you can have these scattered all over the place where people can walk in. The minute you see a little abnormality, you don't wait because it's there and it's free. So they walk in, they get tested. If it's a sample, we send the samples with a motorbike system, we can send it to the general hospital, the bigger hospitals in the area, and then they in turn can send it to the labs, to see what it is. But these containers will be decked with basic equipment. Obviously, you're not going to be able to afford to put mammography machines in there and all of that, but at least an ultrasound machine, biopsies, even something that's simple. And we can extend it, since they're there, we can extend it to throat cancer. It's a very simple test you do for that. Prostate cancer, okay, it's a simple test as well. So we can even extend it for people to be able to do that and get their high blood, their pressure tested, the diabetes tested, even though the focus is on cancer and breast cancer. But at least if the equipment is there, we can also service individuals who need it.
Okay.
So,
how old are your girls?
Natalie is going to be 25 next month.
Okay.
And actually in July, sorry. And Sophia is 19.
Do you get them involved in your...
I do.
You do?
I do. In fact, Sophia just wrote an article for college, and it was about her work she's done with Dorothy's Hope. Okay. I take them along with me when they're in town. They're now not here, but they grew up here.
Right.
Yeah, they're very, very much hands-on. They come to my walks. We do our breast cancer walks and our awareness programs. They're always there. They support.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you hope to see them do in future?
Whatever they want to do. They don't have to follow suit. Gone are the days where we become doctors, we set up practices, and we expect our children to be, gone are those days. I think they should just follow their dreams and just do whatever they do, just to do it well. That's all I expect from them.
Right.
So all we can do is to give them a good education.
But you love to see them give back to society.
Oh, that is a must.
That is
a must. Oh yeah, there's no two ways about it. That has to happen. And they do. I've seen signs of it already.
Yeah. That's awesome. Let me take you back a bit, and that will be my final question. How were your pregnancies?
The first one, Natalie, it was fine. It was easy. I enjoyed my pregnancies.
No
The
fears,
doctors
no
were,
complications?
yes, of course, because the doctors had told me that because of the tram flap procedure, they had relocated tissues, muscles from my stomach into the breast area. So there's a lot missing. So from the abdomen. So they weren't sure what I'd be able to carry to full term. Yeah. But fortunately, I was able to. Wow. And they even were worried about me being able to have the muscles to push. I pushed Natalie out. So yeah, so God's been great. Sophia was a bit more challenging. I developed some fibroids with her. Right. So she was lying on the fibroids, and at one point,
but that had nothing to do with
the cancer.
The cancer. No, yeah,
I was able to carry.
Yeah, I get, because we needed to clarify this, because just as in your case, some of them are told that you can get pregnant, but then they would like, oh, I saw Miss Dorothy talk about how so then they would just go ahead and do it. But your case was different, and you need to listen to your doctor, and then
each individual
person, and you can reach out to Dorothy's Hope on telephone number
059-399-2963 is one of the numbers.
Okay, we'll put it on the screen as well, and their social media handles as well, so you can reach out to them, for help. But in conclusion,
one thing I do want to mention is something happened yesterday that I'm so thrilled. Where's the camera? Which one do I look at? This one right there.
That one, yeah.
I must say, I'm so happy and, thankful to our president, President Mahama. He launched today an initiative. I think it's called the Mahama Fund. Yeah. So I just saw it this morning. Yeah. And I wish I'd actually been present. Yeah. But this is something that I've been pushing for.
Mahama Care.
Mahama Care. Like Obama Care, Mahama Care.
Yes. Ghana Health Care or something.
Yes. He's encouraging corporations, etc., oil companies, etc., people who have businesses to actually help to support as a form of social responsibility, to help to support people who are afflicted with diseases, non-communicable diseases. I think he himself mentioned that his father died of prostate cancer and also mother of breast cancer. So, finally, somebody who's passionate about this. I'm so happy and thankful. And this goes beyond. What's beautiful about this is that it doesn't matter what political party you're with. Okay, it's necessary. This is about humanity. Yeah. So thank you so much, and it's been done. And I hope that it goes a long way in helping patients who need the support, financial support, and treatment. So yeah, thank you. I'm very happy about that.
And what marvels me about what you are doing is that, quote unquote, you are coming from a privileged position. You have sailed through a lot. You could have decided that this is it. Okay, this is my story. You tell this. But you have immersed yourself, your resources, and everything in making sure that no one, and I ask you this because I get a sense of you wish there'll come a time when no one will die from breast cancer. You've positioned yourself like a rescuer. You feel you can rescue everyone who comes to you, but know that you're not God. You can only do your best and leave the rest to God. Do you believe in miracles?
I do. I'm one. I'm living testimony.
You're living testimony, because this is what you call it's been God. Yeah. It's been God, because
we can't leave God out.
No, certainly. Absolutely. So wish you all the best. I'm sure this will not be the first and last time. We'll definitely get to talk more before you get to set up the containers and all that. And I'm just thinking that Gifty Foundation, we do the pregnancy September. We do ours in September, where we go out to help pregnant women in rural communities. We give them clothes, baby clothes, soap, all the necessities they need to have a beautiful bed, and give them one hot meal. And this year, our focus is on the Volta region. Wow. So maybe we can collaborate, do something, and choose one area, and then we'll go and do this together.
I'd love to.
And I'll be very much interested in, and I'm sure you can collaborate with a lot of maybe the regional minister and all that. There's particular cases coming from the Volta region to find exactly what is going on there. So thank you so much.
Thank you
for coming to share. I had no idea when you said Gifty, we don't have to wait for October to talk about breast cancer. You know, I said, well, I know she has a story, so let's, but I had no idea what I was in for. But that's been very educative.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very educative. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much. Well, I'll be back with a bit of me, but once again, I say thank you to Venom Mineral Water, Bigger Drinks, Juice Time, House of Food, E-Garden, Yap Cleaning Services, and Mrs. Oforipoko and the family. Thank you so much for supporting us all these years. I'll be back with a bit of me.